Hi, sixth graders. We're on lesson 1-8, which is on properties. And it starts on page 53 in your textbook. Our learning target is we can use commutative property, associative property, identity property, and distributive property to solve problems. So a property is basically a statement that is true for all numbers. So any numbers that we put into our properties or into our variables for these certain properties should always work. So commutative property only works for addition or multiplication, and I know that you've heard about commutative before, but basically it says that for any numbers A and B, A plus B equals B plus A, and A times B equals B times A. So you can see 5 plus 8 is the same as 8 plus 5, because 5 plus 8 is 13, 8 plus 5 is 13. Same with 8 times 5 is 40, and 5 times 8 is also 40. Does not work for subtraction or division. So you might want to add that in your notes. No subtraction or division. Okay? Because if we did 5 minus 8, we would get -3. But if we did 8 minus 5, flipped it around, we would get +3. Okay? And then same for dividing. If we did 10 divided by 2, remember this line right here is a fraction line, but it also means division. 10 divided by 2 is 5. But if we did 2 divided by 10, we would get 1/5. So two totally different numbers. Okay, associative property. So by the way, you should probably write commutative property down. And what I wrote in the box with the A's and the B's, you might want to make a note that commutative property is addition and multiplication. Associative property works with addition and multiplication also only. And as you can see, it says A plus B plus C is the same as A plus B plus C. So we're changing our parentheses around. And then A times B times C is the same as A times B times C. So we can see 2 plus 3 plus 4, well, we do parentheses first. So 2 plus 7, which would equal 9. And then we have 2 plus 3 is 5, plus 4, which also equals 9. Okay, and then here we have 2 times 12, and we get 24. Then we have 2 times 3 is 6 times 4, and we get 24. Okay, the identity property says that the sum of an addend and 0 is the addend. So the addend being A, so A plus 0 equals A, okay, or 5 plus 0 equals 5. The product of a factor and 1 is the factor. So the factor and 1 is the factor. So A times 1 equals A. So 12 times 1 equals 12. 3 times 1 equals 3. 3 plus 0 equals 3. Okay, then we have the distributive property. So you multiply each addend of the sum by the number outside of the parentheses. So if we look at this one, we have A times B plus C. And it's the same as taking A and multiplying it by each number in the parentheses. So it's the same as A times B plus A times C. And then if we go backwards, A times B plus A times C is the same as pulling out the A and adding together B and C and then multiplying together. So let's look at that one. It's a little bit more confusing than the rest. So if we solve by order of operations, we would have 3 times do parentheses first, so 3 times 6, and then we get 18. Here we have 3 times 2 is 6, plus 3 times 4 is 12, and then we get 18. So see how I pulled my 3 out, and I multiplied it by 2 and by 4. So you need to make sure you're distributing that 3 to both numbers inside the parentheses. 9 times 3, this should be an equal sign. 9 times 3 is 27, plus 18. 27 plus 18 is, I know that 27 plus 20 is 47. Subtract 2, so then it would be 45. And then we have 9 times 5, because 3 plus 2 is 5 in the parentheses, and we get 45. So we have a 9 being multiplied by both numbers, so we can pull out that 9 and then add together our two numbers in the parentheses. Okay, so we can also use our properties to help us solve expressions in a little bit of an easier way. So we can look at 4 times 12 times 25. It's hard definitely in our head to think, well, what's 4 times 12, and then whatever number that is, take it times 25. But we know that 4 times 25 is a nice even 100, right? So using our commutative property and putting them in a different order, 4 times 25 times 12 would equal, so 4 times 25 equals 100. Then multiply it by 12, and we get 1200 or 1200. Okay, if we have 40 times 7 times 5, okay, well, we know that if we multiplied everything in the parentheses, it would be 40 times 35, which is a little bit trickier for us to do. So what we can do is we can distribute it out. So we could instead write 40 times 7, which we're able to do in our head, plus 40 times 5, okay, so we know that 40 times 7, so 4 times 7 is 28, and then we add our 0 for our ones place, and then we have 40 times 5, 5 times 4 is 20, and then make sure we add on that other 0. So 280 plus 200 would equal 480. So we were able to solve, instead of trying to figure this out and solve this, or even having a whole long piece of paper of multiplying these together, we can pick out and use properties to help us solve it a little bit easier. So our answer then would be 480. And then we have 89 plus 15 plus 1. Well, we can do that. We can do this in our head, but 89 is just a little bit trickier of a number to add with. So I know that if I add 89 and 1 together first, it would give me a nice even 90, and then add 15, which is easier for me to add in my head, and then I get 105. Okay, I want you to use the distributive property to solve both of these, so write it out as you would using the distributive property, and then write your answer. So you would write this out then as 2 times 6 plus 2 times 7. So then we'd have 12 plus 14 would be 26. Okay, so notice my 2 was being multiplied by 6 and by the 7. So I like to draw lines like this to remind myself I'm pulling out the 2 times the 6 and the 2 times the 7. And then 7 times 3 plus 7 times 6, so we can rewrite it as 7 times 3 plus 6. And then we have 7 times 9, which would equal 7 times 9 then would equal 63. Okay? So that is all I have for you for the properties. If you need to go back and look in your book, or if you need to rewatch or look online, feel free. Otherwise, make sure you log into NICU and take the lesson 1-8 NICU quiz. Have a super evening.